Greetings from our Temecula studios. I'm Ryder Bullock. Welcome to the Ryder Report. The Oklahoma City Thunder extend their season opening winning streak to 8 games with a 126-107 victory over the Los Angeles Clippers in Inglewood. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led the Thunder with 30 points, 12 assists, shooting effectively from the floor in three-point range. Isaiah Joe added 22 points, while Carson Wallace and Aaron Wiggins contributed 12 each. The Thunder overcame an early Clippers lead, taking control in the third quarter with a key three-pointer by Wiggins and an 11-0 run to start the fourth. For the Clippers, James Harden scored 25 points, John Collins had 17. But the team was missing Kawhi Leonard and Bradley Beal. Derrick Jones Jr. scored 16. The loss marked consecutive home defeats for the Clippers. Thunder travel to Portland on Wednesday. The Clippers head to Phoenix on Thursday. Once again, welcome to the Ryder Report. I'm Ryder Bullock. Get you caught up on some other NBA scores. Warriors taking on the Suns. They get it done at home, 118-107. Stephen Curry scores 28. Pelicans taking on the Hornets. Pelicans get it done at home, 116-112. Alvarado had 18 points. Bulls get it done at home, 113-111 against the Sixers. Giddey had 29 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists. Another triple-double for him. He becomes the first person to have back-to-back triple-doubles since Michael Jordan in the 90s. Hawks Magic, 127-112. Hawks win it at home. Daniels had 18 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. And the Raptors win it at home, 128-100. Barnes, 23 points, 6 assists, and 4 steals. From the NBA to college basketball, and the Dick Vitale Invitational, number 6 Duke taking on Texas. And this was a game that tells you a lot about how Duke's shaping up without last year's stars. Duke started slow, real slow. 7-3, nearly 7 minutes into the game. That's not a Duke team we're used to seeing. Isaiah Evans, though, he was hot. 23 points, 4 three-pointers. Really got the offense moving after that sluggish start. But the real story, Cameron Boozer. Now, if you've been following college hoops, you know Boozer's a name to watch. Son of Carlos Boozer, former Duke standout, and he came in with all the hype. And I tell you, the first half, forget it, 0 for 7 from the field, scoreless at halftime, just 3 rebounds. Duke was trailing 33-32. You're thinking maybe he's feeling the weight of the legacy. But the second half, it was a different story. Boozer got to the line 12 times, hit 9 free throws, added 3 steals, 2 assists, a block, and all-around effort. Reminded me a little of Cooper Flagg last year, just the way he impacted the game without having to rely on the jump shot early. Defense was stifling too. Texas shot just 32%, had 16 turnovers, and Duke capitalized. This is a kid who, when he settles in, is going to make a huge difference. Texas, by the way, wasn't a pushover. Coach Sean Miller making his debut. Dalen Swain had 16 points. Pope and Volkatix each with 15. They hung in there, but Duke's depth and that defensive intensity in the second half carried the day. Final score 75-60 Duke. Now, I want to go back to yesterday because this is interesting. Syracuse had their season opener. They take down Binghamton 85-47. And here's where we get a nice parallel to Boozer. Kion Anthony, son of Carmelo Anthony, comes off the bench in his collegiate debut, puts up 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Anthony's performance is different in style from Boozer. He's coming as an off-the-bench spark, scoring efficiently, helping Syracuse build on their fast start. They opened 10-0. Kyle Williams, the third, a transfer from UCLA, also contributed nicely, 16 points, 3 dunks, 5 assists. Syracuse forced 22 turnovers, scored 24 points off those turnovers. Much like Duke, they were opportunistic. So let's compare the two Suns, because that's where it gets fun. Cameron Boozer, the big man, comes from a lineage of post players, and we saw flashes of his versatility, rebounding, defense, and getting to the line. Needs some work on that jump shot early, but his impact in the second half shows a lot of promise. Kiyan Anthony, more perimeter-oriented, athletic, and ready to score off the dribble or in transition. He's a playmaker, can hit from outside, and clearly he has the confidence of the Syracuse system to make plays off the bench. Both of these guys carry NBA bloodlines, but the game tells you something about their roles early in college. Boozer is the force inside, works the paint, rebounds, and defends. Anthony's the spark, a slasher, a scorer, feeding off momentum and taking advantage of turnovers. Both have that poise that comes from growing up around the game, and you can see it in the way they handle pressure. And one thing I noticed, these first games tell you about the supporting cast too. Dukes Evans, 23 points, carried the first half and allowed Boozer to get into rhythm. Syracuse Kyle Williams III was phenomenal, giving Anthony space to operate. Both teams early in the season are leaning on their stars, but also letting these young players carve out their niche. Finally, let's not overlook the emotional of the Duke game, honoring Dick Vitale in the Invitational. You could see it in Coach K, his face in the crowd. Moments like that, they bring a team together, and Duke responded with a solid second-half performance. That's a good sign. So what's the takeaway here? Cameron Boozer, you watch him over the next few games, he's going to develop into a centerpiece, especially on defense and in the post. Kiyan Anthony, he's a spark plug, dynamic off the bench, and the kind of scorer Syracuse can ride early. Different games, different styles, same high basketball IQ. These are two young men to watch this season. And as we look ahead, Duke hosts Western Carolina, Texas hosts Lafayette, Syracuse has Delaware State. So not much competition, but if you're scouting the next generation of college stars, Boozer and Anthony are names you put at the top of your list. Okay, from college basketball to college football, and the college football playoff rankings are out, and Ohio State is your number one team. Yep, Buckeyes top the list, just ahead of the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers at number 2 and Texas A&M at number 3. Close call. Okay, you bet Mac Rhodes says Ohio State's offensive line and defense just gave them edge over Indiana. Both teams are elite, offensively and defensively, but the Buckeyes get the nod. SEC still king, 9 teams in the top 25, Alabama at 4, Georgia at 5, Ole Miss at 6. Big Ten's got 7, including Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. ACC only 5. Big 12, 3, group of 5, Memphis is the top dog. New twist this year, straight seeding model, so the top 4 teams get the first round byes, no matter what your conference championship says. Right now, if the playoffs started today, Memphis at Georgia, Virginia at Ole Miss, Notre Dame at BYU, Oregon at Texas Tech. First round action happening December 19th and 20th at the higher seeded schools campus. Something interesting here, though, Oregon's top 10. Right, they're in the top 10 despite the one loss to Indiana. The committee likes how they look on tape. Skilled players, solid line play. Notre Dame, 2 losses, still in good shape for an at-large bid this year. And you're watching last year's pattern kind of repeat itself. Miami falls 8 spots behind Notre Dame after an overtime loss to SMU. So the committee has really taken everything into account, head-to-head, schedule, record, analytics. Texas and Arch Manning, they're at 11 after beating Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. That head-to-head win puts them ahead of Oklahoma at 12, despite same record. Virginia's the top ACC team at 14. And then Utah, Louisville, Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Miami, USC, Iowa, Michigan, Missouri, Washington, Pitt, Tennessee round out the top 25. And yes, Tennessee is your only 3-loss team. So look, this CFP format, 12 teams, first round byes for the top 4, quarters at Cotton, Orange, Rose, Sugar, semis at Fiesta and Peach. It changes the game. If you're a top seed, you get rest. Group of 5, you got to earn it, and earn it big. So bottom line here, Ohio State edges Indiana on tape. SEC is loaded. Committee isn't just looking at wins. They're evaluating a whole body of work. And this season, it's wide open. So buckle up. It's going to be one wild playoff. And I can't wait because you're going to have a hot team going into a campus, and these games are going to be so good, so good. We're going to pop up the bracket here because I want to go into this a little deeper. So there you go. There's the bracket here, and you'll see top 4 teams: Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama. And I want to zoom in here real quick on the ACC. Okay, and because they're already playing from behind. Okay, only one team in the bracket right now, and that's number 14, Virginia. They're the lone ACC team here. Okay, and if they win the ACC, they're in, even if they're outside the top 12. But watch this. Okay, Georgia Tech at 17. On the outside here, looking in. You got Georgia Tech right there at 17. You got Louisville at 15, looking in. Okay, you got Miami at 18, looking in. Okay, so they're out right now. Miami, they're out over that SMU loss and head-to-head win over Notre Dame. It doesn't matter, not in the playoff right now. So Virginia's in right now, but Louisville and Georgia Tech are looming to try and battle for that ACC spot. Move over to the SEC. It's big. It's loaded. Alabama's in. Texas A&M's in. Georgia's in. Ole Miss is in. Okay? But Ole Miss, I'm going to zoom in here on Ole Miss. They're a lock. Okay? They're in. They're in. I don't think anything can stop Ole Miss. They're safe. Okay? But one late loss, and they joined the 2-loss club. First team out, Texas beat Oklahoma, beat Vanderbilt. But if the ACC or Group of 5 champions push into the top 12, this Longhorns team right here, 11, could be a factor. Okay, so they could be a factor, but they could also get elbowed out. Still in the mix: Missouri, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt. Okay, look at Missouri right here. This is number 22, Missouri. They gotta beat A&M to make a move. Vanderbilt's close at 16. But they're hanging on by a thread. 1, 2, 5. Anyway, Big Ten, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon. Oregon at 9. That's kind of the last team in right here. The last team in, Oregon. And the one loss, okay? The one loss to Indiana right here. And it's a good loss. They had some good wins too, good wins earlier too in the year, right? Penn State and others. But the second half of the season is the real test. Iowa, Washington, USC, big games coming up. First team out, USC at 19. Okay, and remember they had the win against Michigan. Okay. And they've got 2 losses, but if they win at Oregon, watch out, they could move back in. Still in the mix, Iowa, Michigan, Washington. And I think Michigan has Michigan has the best chance because Michigan still has to play Ohio State. And that's going to be a very big matchup to close out the year. Move to the Big 12. BYU's in. Texas Tech is in. I want to focus on Texas Tech for just a minute here. Texas Tech at 8. Now Texas Tech, if they lose to BYU, right here, they're out. It's gonna crush them. Okay, they've got the championship game to make a statement. Okay, but I still, if they lose to BYU, they almost have to win the Big 12 championship. Okay, and you know who would love to see Texas BYU lose to, or would love to see Texas Tech lose to BYU, and that's Utah. That's Utah here at 13. Okay, because I think if BYU beats Texas Tech, I think Texas Tech goes here and they swap. I really do. I think they swap there. So it's a tough spot. 2 losses to league leaders. And then Cincinnati, not on my 25, right? Not in the 25, but you could still, they could easily in here, but definitely could be in here if one of maybe Washington loses or Pitt loses or Tennessee loses there. Now Notre Dame, they got the lucky, right? They got the lucky draw here because one, they have 2 losses. But their 2 losses are to very great teams, including this number 3 Texas A&M team and number 18 Miami, 2 road losses as well. Excuse me, the Texas A&M was a home game, but nonetheless, very great performances in those losses. And they also get the lucky draw because if this 12-team bracket holds up, I think you go, okay, we can beat them, so they're out. Right? I think Notre Dame can beat BYU. I think they can beat Indiana because they beat them last year. Out. Louisville, Georgia Tech. You can almost maybe squeeze Pitt in there, but a lot would have to happen. They'd have to win out and win the ACC and all of that. Now the group of 5 battle. This is good. Right now it's Memphis. Navy's on the backbone of that. South Florida, I think's kind of lost momentum. We talked about North Texas yesterday, so Memphis is in right now. I don't know if it stays. Here's the story. Okay, circles here. Okay, a lot of circles, but I think Ole Miss is safe. Notre Dame's safe if they win. Well, Notre Dame would have to win out. So I don't know if they're safe. I don't know if BYU's safe. I don't think none of these guys are safe. Okay, none of this is safe. These 4, I think, are safe. Okay, now they may slip over here, but if something happens, but I think this is a safe spot. And now you're saying who from here can get over there? I think it's an ACC team. I think it's Louisville. I think it's Georgia Tech. I think it's Pitt. A lot would have to happen for Pitt there, and I think it's Utah. You know, if BYU loses or Texas Tech loses, I think Utah could maybe slip in there as well. So a lot to get to, and then also Texas maybe. You know, you never know. Again, with one of these teams, Notre Dame loses, Texas could just as easy slip in there. So, SEC's loaded. Big Ten still figuring it out. ACC's trailing. Big 12 and Group of 5 tight races. So this is what we're watching for the college football playoff. Here's tonight's final thought. You know, the NFL has always been a game of inches, but lately it seems they're playing a different kind of field, one that extends well beyond the chalk lines and stadium lines. At this year's draft, some of the league's top prospects were asked questions they might never have expected. What is a skirt? Or what is primer? And for many of these young men, the answers weren't obvious. But that's exactly the point. This isn't about X's and O's or the gridiron. It's about connecting with an audience that has historically been underestimated. Women. The NFL is making moves, partnering with outlets like Beaches and The Gist, giving them access to marquee events, the draft, the combine, even the Super Bowl, so they can tell stories from their perspective. And the league is betting that authentic, human-centered storytelling, that kind that shows us who these players are off the field, will build loyalty and engagement in ways traditional marketing cannot. It's no accident that these efforts come at a time when pop culture intersects with the sport. Taylor Swift dating Travis Kelce, the viral clips of players stumbling over beauty products is all part of broadening the appeal, capturing hearts and minds beyond the casual Sunday viewer. And make no mistake, there's money in this strategy. 41% of American women identify as NFL fans, a demographic the league is now actively buying into, not just with ads, but with narrative, connection, and culture. So yes, it might seem lighthearted, even silly at times, but underneath it all, the NFL is expanding the game on the field and in the hearts of a whole new audience. And that, my friends, is a winning play in every sense of the word. Till next time, Ryder Bullock reporting. Thank you for